stand over here.
Real easy.
My undergraduate, I went to Arkansas Tech. It's a public university in kind of the central part of Arkansas, which is where I'm originally from. I went there because it was the best place for what I wanted to do. I went to Virginia Polytechnic Institute and State University. I went there because it's one of the best universities for fish and wildlife, period. Well, first and foremost, you got to get experience outside of the classroom. Classes are important, but if you come here and you get a 4.0 GPA and you don't do anything else, if you don't get experience with internships and undergraduate research and all that kind of thing, you're probably not going to go as far as you could. In fact, things are so competitive these days that if you don't do that, you're probably putting yourself into a bad situation from the beginning. So I did my undergrad in 4 years, and then I went straight to grad school, which I don't always recommend, but that was just a situation that was too good to pass up. So it took me 2 years to finish my graduate degree, and then I left for a couple years and worked for a state agency. I was an aquatic ecologist for the state of Arkansas for a couple years, and then I went back to my PhD at Virginia Tech again, and that took 4 years. Courses are important, but courses, in my opinion, aren't necessarily the most important thing. So I was able to be very involved with our American Fisheries Society group pretty much from day one as a freshman. And I was able to work as an intern, a technician in my advisor's lab almost the whole time that I was there. And so that gave me a lot of opportunities to learn from graduate students, learn from faculty, but also be able to work with people from Forest Service and the state agency and that kind of thing. So it was, that was definitely the most important thing for me. Well, I knew that I wanted to do something that was fun. And so to that end, I was like, okay, well, what do I like that's fun? Well, I play sports and I do outdoor activities, right? Well, sports didn't pan out as it doesn't for most people. And so, yeah, that was it. But I wasn't necessarily saying I have to be a fisheries biologist. I just wanted to do something kind of outside. Actually, when I graduated high school and I was like working construction for a while, I just wanted to like work on a barge actually and just run up and down the river and do it like that. But I was too young, so I went to college instead. So if I would have been a little bit older, maybe I wouldn't be doing this. A little bit later, I never had like the dream of being like a professor at a big university like this, and I think that's probably good because it wasn't necessarily something I was shooting for. I think I probably decided about halfway through working for my PhD, at first say, well, I'm going to go for a PhD. Maybe I'll go at a smaller university and focus more on teaching, or maybe I'll work for like a federal agency and do more federal research. But once I got really involved with my graduate research, but as well as teaching undergrad courses, so I taught like ichthyology lab and I taught fish ecology at Virginia Tech, and that complement of doing the research and that helps me be a better teacher and vice versa, that kind of really made it all click that, okay, this is probably what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah, but it definitely wasn't until later. So I love teaching and I love doing research, and that's my appointment. It's 50-50. And then with some service to the department, like working on committees and that kind of thing, I really enjoy that. I'm on the department curriculum committee, so we get to shape, based on, like your input and how things change, we get to kind of shape the curriculum. That's very fulfilling. What they don't tell you about is that, you have to do administrative things like sign timesheets and, go to meetings and, do a lot of kind of like menial reporting with this and that. And any one thing isn't that bad, but you can really let it overwhelm you. And so you just kind of have to find ways to say, okay, well, today all I'm doing is this administrative stuff. So that's not fun, right? I mean, we want to go out and catch fish and do all that kind of stuff. And so anytime you're not doing that or working with students, it's not the funnest. But that's part of it. There's no perfect job. So I have 2 CI sections. One is really just kind of a general native fish CI. Another is, we call it the black bass conservation. where we're working on conservation issues associated with this fish called Bartram's bass, or red-eyed bass. It only lives in the Savannah River Basin. Well, that's hard to say, and that changes a lot, honestly. I'd say if there's something that I had to be close to be an expert at, it would be just aquatic ecology in general. You know, I really enjoy fish, but I'm not limited to fish. Particularly minnows. I really enjoy studying minnows, which is the most diverse group of freshwater fish in North America, actually. But you never know what you're going to run into. Sometimes, you know, the career is like a Plinko board. Sometimes somebody just calls and says, "Hey, do you want to work on this?" I say, "Yeah, I've always been interested in it, but I'm not an expert in it." We say, "Well, let's put something together." So it's kind of fun in this field to be able to just get into new things all the time. It's really like a fulfilling part of it.
The career we chose to research is a wildlife biologist specifically employed at the Bosque del Apache National Wildlife Refuge in San Antonio, New Mexico. This is a permanent full-time position making between $42,000 and $55,000 a year. The position's duties include things like planning and executing wildlife surveys to determine population trends and behavior, maintaining contact with state agencies, collecting, identifying, preserving species, and being aware of current state and federal laws. You also must be able to write reports from data and be proficient with GIS and GIS systems software.
Workshops and conferences are great ways to learn new skills and make professional connections. Workshops are short and easy to attend, and they're in all those fun emails you get. Some workshops include internship workshops and leadership workshops, and some are environmental and scientific data publishing workshops. And some workshops are about programs like RStudio, and those are types of things you can put on your application when you're applying for all those wildlife positions. Conferences are usually, they last a whole weekend, and they're in some place far away, but they're with a lot of professional people, and you get a chance to talk to them about what you want to do and the ideas you have, and you get to learn about all the new stuff that's happening in wildlife. Some conferences include the Wildlife Society conferences, and those you have to be in that club, but you get to travel with them, and it's a really good time that I've heard from some people. Some are, Congress-type conferences where you talk with the professionals, you get time to sit down and talk about the new stuff that's happening. And that's all about that.
Oh hey, didn't see you there. Did you know if you're interested in a job at wildlife biology, here's some classes at Clemson you could take. Soil information systems, dendrology, forest biology or ecology, wildlife biology, plant ID, wildlife management techniques, fishery management and conservation, wetland wildlife biology, anatomy physiology of domestic animals, GIS for natural resources, wildlife conservation policy, and human dimensions of fisheries and wildlife management and conservation. If you're interested in some creative inquiries, you could take bird observation, owls and urban development, Kennedy waterfowl and wetland, animal ecology in Africa, deer-coyote interaction in South Carolina, alligator ecology, and hellbender ecology. And if you want some minors to take along with your degree, you could take parks and protected area management, sustainability, environmental science and policy, and that's straight facts, dog.
Some professional opportunities for wildlife biologists would be internships such as Virginia waterfowl technician or a seasonal wildlife technician, or you could volunteer such as at a wildlife rehab, wildlife sanctuary, or a national park. Some organizations that you could take at Clemson if you wanted to be a wildlife biologist would be the Wildlife Society, American Fisheries Society, Society for Conservation Biology, Clemson Tigers for Tigers, Fire Tigers, and the Forestry Club.